Today we are looking at the S.O.G Powerpint, a tiny little multi-tool made by S.O.G Studies and Observations Group. Call them S.O.G. Might be able to see the logo right there. S.O.G. Probably, in my opinion, the best little multi-tool you're going to ever find for small pocket carry. Even if you made, like, if you're a leather crafty, you could probably make yourself a tiny little pouch for it. It's not that tiny. Comparing this to a Leatherman Style CS, you can see that it's just a little bit longer. And comparing the main blades with each other, you can see that the S.O.G Powerpint is considerably longer. A little bit more usable edge. It's a neat little Warncliffe blade as opposed to a drop point. Get this little guy out of the way. This has a bunch of different tools in it. I'm not going to read off all the things that S.O.G says it has. I'm going to mention the parts that I think are best about it. Best tool on here is the 1/4 inch bit driver right here in the tip. Takes a standard little bit that you can buy anywhere. Right there in the tip, usually spreads out the back a little bit. That's normal. You can apply pressure to keep that closed. And it's right there in the middle of the tool, making it very easy to use. Personally, I like to pair this with the Leatherman ratchet, little new thing that came out last year by Leatherman. Takes the flat side right in there. Sorry guys, I'm looking through the camera. You get a ratcheting screwdriver, and then the Leatherman ratchet thing takes normal bits and the Leatherman flat bits that you can get in a lot of multi-tools like the curl, the wave, etc. You know, just drop the bits right in there. You got yourself a ratcheting screwdriver. Similar colors, similar size. I think it makes very aesthetic EDC. Now sadly, the hole on the S.O.G Powerpint does not really take double-ended bits. It kind of grabs, kind of doesn't. It kind of works. But the pliers, like, good grief, these things are surprisingly good. I've cut through 10 gauge copper wire, solid, not stranded, solid copper wire with that. Cuts right through. If you measure the distance that this will travel compared to this, the handle will travel twice as far as the plier head, which means that you're getting like double the leverage from the center point. You're actually getting like a full-size multi-tool, just over a full-size multi-tool of leverage in a smaller piece. These wire cutters are not replaceable like some. It's kind of a small tool, kind of hard to make that work. But these are very capable, very good, barely even scratched over the 2 years that I've had this tool. I've had this tool since 2020. Actually, it's like the fall of 2019 that I got this. The plier head, yeah, it's a little focus, little whopper, misground too much on this side here, but that's okay. The pocket clip is not swappable to any other side. You're stuck with that right where it is. I have used this bit in here to crimp wires quite well. Get a little wire connector over a wire and put that on right down, nice and snug. Quite a good little tool. And very pocketable. Very, very pocketable. Like, this thing goes in the 5th pocket on your jeans. And it's not that heavy. It's a chunk, as you can see, but it's compact. It's wonderful. Over here, let's go through the tools that it has real quick. We've got the serrated edge. What I love about the Powerpint's tools is that they're small, but not dinky. They're still quite usable. Focus, please. There we go. Great little serrations. I think these are better serrations than most knives because the whole serrations are rounded over. Most serrations are like saw teeth where they just come straight down and they tend to snag. These are slightly rounded over the ends, which lets it glide, but also cut very deep, very quickly. Classic can opener, bottle opener on here. Like every multi-tool's got these. Who cares? No one cares about these things. The Phillips driver is quite good for what it is. It's a 0 grade Phillips driver, whatever standards you measure by, sorry. Very doable. Little snips. I don't want to call these scissors. I call them snips because they work a little bit better on slightly harder things than they do on softer things. Here's like some 350 paracord from Hobby Lobby, and do the classic paracord snip. Kind of got through. I mean, I've used these for 2 years. They're probably getting a little dull, but fresh out of the box, that glided right through. Now, the one thing people say is that the tools are not one-hand accessible. I find that to be false. All the tools stick, so you just stick your fingernail behind whatever outside tool is there. You fan them out. You figure out which one you want to get. Like, let's go with this one right here. And you want to close it one-handed. Just go back, open the next tool, and there you go. Same thing on the knife side. Fan out all the stuff on the knife side. Now the knife side is the easiest if you're not using the eyeglass screwdriver on here, because you can run your fingernail right under, focus, right under that driver right there, which will disengage the lock on the back, and you can close the tool. In my opinion, this is a very one-handed tool once you learn how to fidget with it. Continuing with the tools inside this thing, we have a file. Very good nail file. I've seen better, but I've seen much worse. This is very adequate. It has an edge file here that not a lot of multi-tools have. Pretty aggressive. Since it's popped out, let's go with the eyeglass screwdriver. We have a very fine focus. Come on. Dang camera. There we go. Eyeglass screwdriver kind of deal. Very fine. Good for poking into stuff, to untying rope knots, getting into those bunged up knots, get in there, price them apart, get it out there. Very, very, very light duty pry bar. Now, you may have seen on the bottle opener that it didn't have a flat head. That's because they say this is the flat head, which is a little bit of a letdown. Package opener is wonderful. I use this on clamshells all the time. That thing just rips right through. No trouble at all. But the problem with the flathead is the tool is not straight. It is at an angle when you go, and it works. Don't get me wrong, it works. But I kind of wish I had a dedicated flathead on this thing. Next up, we have an awl. I have busted the tip on this little sucker. It comes to a much finer tip than that. Super sharp, good scraping, good for getting like the uncovering the backs of your phone cars, get the scrape off all that little stuff. That silver coating. Little eye hole loop for stitching. Back onto the main blade again. This is all, what was it? It was like 8CR13 MOV or 5CR, I think it was 5CR13 MOV. Not the best steel, not the worst steel. I've touched this up a few times over the 2 years that I've used it, but I have used it a lot, and it has held its edge a lot. Now, I do carry a second main blade on person as my EDC, and so some of the edge knife use goes to that, but I use this thing so much when I first got it. Haven't used it as much this last year because I've gotten some newer tools in trying to use those, but this has seen a solid year of use and like half a year off and on. And this thing is phenomenal. The action, very butterfly, fidgety. Now it kind of lands on your finger when you try to close it like that, but it does not stay shut in your pocket. That might be an annoyance for you. And we're back. The camera cut out on me, but this thing, very fidgety. It's not an issue that it is not clicky like some multi-tools where it stays shut. And like I said, to me, everything on here is one-handed. If you spend a day or so just fidgeting with this, fanning stuff out, finding out how your fingernail grabs the bits and bobs and closes and opens. Very interesting how that compound leverage comes into play. But let's put this down here. That is the Powerpint. Let's compare this with some other multi-tools of similar that you guys may be familiar with. Let's go with the Leatherman curl. You may not have heard of the curl, but it's the same size as the wave. Excuse me, hiccups. Very small tool. Let's go put the Style CS beside it. And the personal one that I like, Victorinox Swiss tool. Best dang multi-tool ever. Even though it doesn't have a bit driver. A little sad, but still the best. Slap that right there. You can see that's a very small tool. Where is my there we go. Victorinox SD or Mini Champ, but it's SD series. We'll just slap that over there. Pop that there. Very compact. Let's show all these folded up side by side. There's the Swiss tool. There is the curl, Powerpint, and Style CS. CS for scissors. Very compact tool, very usable. I love this little guy. $45 right now, I think, as of the time of this video going up. On S.O.G's website, you can probably find some cheaper elsewhere. There's like nominal rust on this thing. I've barely kept this oiled at all over the 2 years that I've had it. Next to no rust. I haven't disassembled this. Focus, there we go. As you can see, still almost mint. There is pocket gunk in there. That's just going to happen in a pocket carried multi-tool. But like, man, this thing is good. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to hear about my thoughts on this little guy. Not much, kind of sloppy video, but I'm starting here. Please cut me some slack. Anyway, until next time, see ya.